Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Well, it seems that my last 2 or 3 videos concerning these new little mini feeders with the sliding bait clip have caused quite a lot of interest, which is great. On the downside for me, it's generated a lot of questions on my emails, and a lot of the questions kind of overlap each other. So it's taken me a long time to get back to everyone and to sort out the answers to their questions. So rather than sort of wait for more questions of the same type coming through on the emails, what I'm going to do today is show you exactly how I design and build and put together one of these. And of course, we start off with the computer. And this is my software that I use. It's called Tinkercad, designed for children. Bear in mind that I have no qualifications, apart from 3 O-levels in English, French and German, which are of no use whatsoever for designing anything like fishing tackle. And the only reason I got those is because they raised the leaving age to 16 the year I left school, and so I had to do O-levels. But anyway, that's another story. Obviously, I'm going to design it here. It's going to be a very quick overview of how I've done it. But if you want to skip this section, I'll put a little note up on the screen now, and you can skip to the time code that mentions above there, and you can skip this section here. But don't worry, it's only going to be very brief because I'm not here to teach you how to use Tinkercad. As I say, very briefly, I start off with this form here. I'll just move that across a little bit so you can see. It comes from these boxes here. You just drag and drop them in, and I made it to a particular size, which is 30 by 45 millimeters. Then what I did, I copied it and pasted it here. But this one I made 2 or 3 millimeters smaller all round. Then I selected it and turned it into a hole. There's the hole. Select them both, join them all together, and then group them together, and that's it. Job done. So there's the basic form for the feeder. Then I needed this, which is a hole in the base, and at the moment you can see it's a solid because I dragged it from here and shaped it to that size. So again, create it as a hole, and I'll move it across, and then I'll just center again. Oops, undo that then, don't want to do that. I'll just take the two, center them up. That's now underneath there, look. Group that. These are holes, which I'll make into holes now. And again, I can bring those across like that. Group. And then the only other thing that we have to look at really for the body of the feeder is this. This is just the holes which represent where the stem goes through, and these are just support areas here. So again, if I select the whole thing, move it across. In fact, what I have to do on this one, I have to be careful here. If I group that first of all, you'll see why in a second. If I now select both, come to the center, oops, center, thank you, and that's it in there, that's put it in the center quite neatly. If I then ungroup this, like that, what that's done, you can see we've got the, see if we can see it better, you've got the 2 tubes here, these holes here, you can see it better at this end. If I'd have clicked center before, those 2 would have been centered, so that would have been a mistake. So what I'm going to do now, having ungrouped it, I can regroup everything. There we go. And you may have noticed a thing at the top here, which is sort of getting in the way a little bit. So if I come down, again, what we'll do there is just center it all up, bring it down one more 5 millimeter section, make that a bit bigger for you, and then that, once I've grouped it, cuts the hole again. And then the final thing, we need to make this a bevel. So what we'll do is find this thing here, bring it down, as before, just centre it all up. There we are. And you'll see that we've now got the bevel going down. Group that. And that's it. That's our feeder put together. So it is really actually very simple, isn't it? Now from there we have to export it. So if I click export up here as an STL file, that's just the file that the program needs to save it. It'll take us into Ultimaker Cura, which is another application, and there it is. It's come up on the screen as that. These settings are just the various layer heights and all the rest of it. These are sort of fairly standard things, but bear in mind I'm using PETG filament for my projects because PLA filament is a lower melting point, and I just prefer PETG. Now all these settings here are fairly sort of standard stuff, but what you do have to make sure is that you click support, because obviously underneath here you can see that red in here, that's where the application says hold on a minute, that's not going to work properly, we're not going to be able to print that. So by generating support and clicking touching build plate here, you can then create a little lattice underneath here, and that'll hold everything up whilst you're printing. The only other thing I do is to go on to build plate adhesion and use a raft. Now a lot of people don't use a raft, but I do on this one, and you'll see why shortly. It actually helps with the removal of this lattice under here. But that's basically it. Click slice. It says it's going to take an hour. Save to disk, and there it is there, and that'll save it onto the desktop. Here it is. That's actually a thing called G-code, and G-code is what the application produced the file in so that the 3D printer can use it. So welcome back then for those of you who decided to miss out on the design stage. We've got the G-code, the code to make the feeder on the SD card, and we're going to put it into the 3D printer. Now a quick word on the printer. This is a Creality Ender 3 V2 Neo. Now I actually did buy the original one of these, which was very much the same but with a few less bells and whistles, but I'd have to say of the three printers I've had, this would be the one I'd recommend. So I don't know that much about printers, but for me this is the one that works the best. And all we're going to do, I've heated everything up, I'm going to click the print button, select the one I want, confirm, and in a few seconds that will start to do the print. And then I can go away, have a cup of coffee, and come back when it's done. So there we are then. So an hour later, the printer's done its job. I'll just click confirm. This one has a removable bed, so I'll just take this off, and we'll take the feeder across to the bench and we'll do the final assembly there. So the first thing we've got to do is to remove the raft from the back of the feeder itself. And all I do is just go around, just easing it off gently, a couple of times. And then once I'm about there, I just pull. And you remember what I said about the raft and that area there, that lattice, and it came off straight away. And we've got a perfect back. So we'll just get rid of that. Next thing we've got to do, there's a few sort of fine hairs and things which you probably can't see in there. But again, always get one of these if you've got a 3D printer. Be a bit careful though, they are hot. And all we do is give it a quick blow over. Don't burn your fingers. If you're burning your fingers, stop immediately. Okay, in all seriousness though, that's it, done. So the next thing we've got to do is to insert the elastic, and this is matrix slick elastic in the size 16 to 18, I believe. And obviously it has to go into those two slots down there. What I have found, I did that modification that I showed you on the video where I did the tank tests. Over a period of time, when you're doing this, these can move and they can drop out. So what I've taken to doing is just getting some of this impact adhesive, a little squirt of it down here. Let's see where I am on the picture. Need to be this way a bit. Okay. Squirt a bit out. And then this is actually one of the bits of a yard brush that I've just cut off. Don't tell the wife. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread a bit of that on and just spread it into the holes. You can maybe not see that, but into these holes just to hold the elastic in. I'll just do that quickly. Try not to get too much in. You really don't want to have too much. You're only trying to hold the thing together after all. Now for the feeder, grab the two ends of the elastic, fit them together like that, and then hold and pull so they stretch. I'll turn this around so we can see. Actually, it's going to need to be that way, isn't it? About there. I'll do this the wrong way around for you. Pull it and push in like that, and then turn so that it's held in place neatly. And you should have that effect there. Now, I've actually wasted about an inch or so of the elastic, which you don't need to do. You can actually insert it a lot closer than that. But again, just cutting off there and there. A little bit of fine trimming just to make sure I've got this right. And that's it done. So with the elastic in then, and sitting nicely side by side, we can now fit the lead weights. Obviously that's what the recess is for in the back. And what I've done is, just on this one, I haven't melted anything at all. I happen to have, in fact if I put down here, this is a lump of scrap lead which was 1mm thick. And I just squeezed it in the vise, ended up with a flat piece of lead which I've cut into strips which just fit in to the back of here. So then all you do is cut them to size, put them in like that, and that's it. But of course, how do you keep them in there? And I found one of the best things for that, and the easiest things, is this stuff. Roof and gutter sealant. I think that's what it is. Roof and gutter anyway. And all you do, give it a quick couple of squirts. Oh, that's a bit. There we go. A couple of squirts in there. And then just literally press it in the back. I'll do it all backwards for you so you can see what I'm doing. Make sure you're in the slot and squeeze down. Just bear with me a sec while I sort this out. Oops. Once it's in, give it a wipe. And then just make sure you're properly done and leave it to dry. Now that will give you, based on my experiments, a 16 gram or thereabouts feeder. If you want to have a 24 gram, all I do, instead of wiping off the sealant stuff as I just did, I just put another bit on there and put another layer on like that and squeeze down. And similarly, for the 32 gram feeder, you just put a third one on. And then just leave it for about 24 hours to dry. And that's pretty much it, guys. Can't think of anything else to tell you except go out there and let's see what you can catch. Anyway, look, that's it. Hope this has cleared up any misconceptions or any issues or anything else for you. And of course, if you like the video, please click the like button. If you want to subscribe, please do that too. And if you want to donate, if you feel you can, that's also very much appreciated. But till the next time then, bye for now.